When people remember the 1950s, they picture smiling families, shiny diners, comic books, and children riding bikes until sunset. It looked like a perfect American childhood. Behind those nostalgic memories was a much harder reality. Many children grew up with strict discipline, dangerous jobs, untreated illnesses, freezing homes, fears that today's generation could hardly imagine. Kids were expected to grow up fast and complain very little. In small towns and crowded cities alike, childhood was often rough, exhausting, and sometimes terrifying. Tonight, we're stepping beyond the happy photographs to uncover the 25 brutal realities of childhood in 1950s America. By the time many boys were 8 or 9 years old, they were already doing serious chores. Farm kids milked cows before sunrise and collected eggs in freezing weather. In cities, children delivered newspapers, shined shoes, or worked in family stores. There was little room for laziness. Adults believed hard work built character, and childhood often felt more like training for adulthood. In the 1950s, spanking children was considered ordinary discipline. Teachers used rulers, belts, and paddles in schools across America. Parents rarely questioned it. Many children lived in fear of making mistakes. A bad report card or talking back could mean harsh punishment at home. Back then, people called it tough love. Summers inside American homes could become unbearable. Children slept sweating in tiny bedrooms with windows open at night. Electric fans barely helped during heat waves. Families sat on porches after sunset trying to escape the heat. In crowded cities, apartments felt like ovens. For many children, summer was uncomfortable and exhausting. Not every family had central heating in the 1950s. Kids woke up to icy bedrooms and frozen windows. Some homes relied on wood stoves or coal furnaces. Children wore layers indoors just to stay warm. At night, under heavy blankets, while cold wind crept through the walls. Winter could feel endless. Grew up surrounded by cigarette smoke. Parents smoked at dinner tables, inside cars, and even near babies. Teachers smoked in school lounges and sometimes in classrooms. Many kids thought smoking looked normal and sophisticated. Some teenagers started before high school. Nobody fully understood the danger yet. Cleaning products, pesticides, and poisons were often left within reach of children. Brightly colored chemicals sat under sinks without safety locks. Kids played near toxic substances every day. Lead paint covered walls and toys. Mercury and asbestos were found in homes and schools. Families simply didn't know the risks. Before modern vaccines became widespread, diseases frightened every parent. Polio outbreaks could shut down swimming pools and playgrounds overnight. Suddenly, disappeared into hospitals for months. Parents feared phone calls in the middle of the night. Many children lived with lifelong injuries after sickness. Some never came home. Cars in the 1950s were beautiful, but incredibly dangerous. Most children bounced freely around the back seat during long trips. Some even slept on the rear dashboard. There were no child safety seats. Accidents often turned deadly. Families accepted risks that would shock modern parents. Farm children climbed tractors and operated heavy equipment. Far too young. In factories and workshops, kids wandered near sharp tools and hot machinery. Safety rules were far looser than today. Many children suffered broken bones or permanent injuries. Yet adults often treated accidents as part of growing up. Danger was simply woven into daily life. Classrooms in the 1950s demanded obedience above everything else. Children sat silently in rows for hours. Questioning teachers was considered disrespectful. Fear kept many students disciplined. Humiliation in front of classmates was common punishment. School often felt rigid and unforgiving. Children who were bullied usually had to deal with it themselves. Teachers often ignored fights unless someone was badly hurt. Victims were told to toughen up. For shy or different children, school could become miserable. Many suffered in silence every single day. There was very little emotional support. Children struggling with anxiety, depression, or trauma had few places to turn. Emotional pain was often dismissed as weakness or bad behavior. Families rarely talked openly about feelings. Many children learned to hide their fears completely. Loneliness stayed buried for years. The emotional scars sometimes lasted a lifetime. Despite the image of post-war prosperity, many families still struggled financially. Some children went to school hungry. Others stretched meals with bread, potatoes, or soup. Large families made money even tighter. Children learned early not to waste food. For many households, survival came before comfort. To the dentist terrified children in the 1950s. Dental equipment was loud, painful, and frightening. Modern numbing methods were limited compared to today. Children had teeth pulled without proper pain relief. The smell of dental offices alone created panic. Many carried that fear into adulthood. Even after labor reforms, many children still worked long hours unofficially. Farm work especially depended on young hands during harvest seasons. Often missed school to help their families survive. Their bodies grew tired far too early. Blisters, exhaustion, and injuries were common. Childhood responsibilities could feel overwhelming. Boys especially were expected to fight back if challenged. Street fights happened in schoolyards, alleys, empty lots. Adults often ignored them unless things became serious. Many children learned toughness through violence. Bruises and bloody noses were seen as normal. Sensitivity was often mocked. Young girls were expected to behave perfectly and help with housework. Many learned cooking, cleaning, and babysitting at very young ages. Their futures were often narrowly defined. Dreams outside traditional roles were discouraged. Some girls felt trapped by expectations long before adulthood. Freedom was limited in many homes. For millions of children, segregation controlled schools, neighborhoods, and opportunities. Black children especially faced inequality every single day. Many attended overcrowded schools with fewer resources. Simple activities could become humiliating reminders of discrimination. Childhood innocence disappeared quickly under unfair systems. The emotional damage ran deep. The Cold War created constant fear in American schools. When practiced, duck and cover, drills in classrooms. Many genuinely believed nuclear war could happen any day. Sirens and emergency broadcasts frightened young minds. Kids had nightmares about bombs falling from the sky. The fear felt very real. Hospitals in the 1950s often looked cold and intimidating. Parents sometimes weren't allowed to stay with sick children overnight. Kids faced surgeries and treatments alone. Medical technology was improving, but still painful. Feared doctors almost as much as illness itself. Hospitals could feel terrifyingly lonely. Children spent hours swimming in rivers, lakes, and ponds without supervision. Many neighborhoods lacked lifeguards or safety barriers. Tragic drownings happened far too often. Kids took enormous risks during hot summers. Adults trusted children to watch themselves. Sometimes trust ended in heartbreak. In countless homes, children lived with parents struggling silently with alcohol. The subject was often hidden from neighbors and relatives. Kids learned to stay quiet about family problems. Some households felt unpredictable and frightening at night. Children carried emotional burdens they couldn't explain. Many felt completely alone. 1950s toys often included metal darts, chemistry kits, and realistic weapons. Some even contained radioactive materials or harmful chemicals. Safety standards were minimal. Children played with items now considered unbelievably risky. Injuries happened regularly, but danger was simply accepted as part of fun. Illnesses, workplace accidents, and war-related trauma left many children without stable homes. Some lost fathers who never emotionally recovered from World War II. Others became caretakers for younger siblings far too early. Childhood innocence disappeared quickly during hardship. Responsibility arrived before they were ready. Many carried adult burdens while still very young. Many parents deeply loved their children, but rarely expressed it with hugs or emotional conversations. That invention, life had been too hard for many adults of that generation. Love often looked like putting food on the table, or working long hours without complaint. Affection was quieter, tougher, and sometimes difficult for children to understand. The 1950s gave America beautiful memories, but also painful ones. Behind the cheerful family photographs were children learning resilience through hardship, fear, rules, and sacrifice. Many grew up faster than they should have, and yet somehow they endured. That generation carried these experiences into adulthood, shaping the families, traditions, and culture that followed for decades. So the next time you see an old black and white photo of smiling children from the 1950s, remember that behind those smiles was a world far tougher than it appeared. Because nostalgia often remembers the warmth, but history remembers the truth.